Most people you see on social media or YouTube always talk about their wins. Everything looks like a highlight reel, and everything you see is them just being an incredible investor, an incredible entrepreneur, the best real estate this or that ever. Nobody talks about all the screw ups and failures that come along with being a real estate investor and growing a business. Well, that is changing, at least for me. In this video, I'm going to tell you about my worst deal ever, and I'm not even close to being done with it. It's the worst investment I've ever made times probably 5 or 10. I lose about $20,000 a month on this deal and have been doing that for the last year and a half. It's probably going to cost me another $500,000 to $600,000 in loss to get out of this deal. So in this video, I'm going to give you the story of my boutique hotel in Branson, Missouri, show you what we did wrong, show you what we're trying to squeeze out to make things not as bad, and talk about the exit plan moving forward. So if you want to hear a real life story as to what actually happens as a real estate investor who's pushing themselves, growing, failing, scaling all at the same time, this is a video for you. And if you appreciate the honesty and authenticity and transparency, hit that like button. It was spring of 2023, and a local wholesaler here in St. Louis brought us a deal down in Branson, Missouri. If you don't know where Branson is, it's about 3.5 to 4 hours southwest of St. Louis. It's called the Redneck Vegas, or at least that's what I call it. It's kind of a cool location because I think a third of the country can drive there within a day. So it's a great destination resort. I believe the population's in the thousands, but millions of people go there every year. And we got sent a deal for a 20-unit hotel motel down in a really good location. It's a couple minutes south of Silver Dollar City, which is the largest theme park in the Ozarks, and it's right near the marina on Indian Point, which is a main location in Branson. The people that were selling were going through a divorce, so we got a good deal. Or we thought we got a good deal. We were shopped it for $800,000. The wholesaler was going to get paid $50,000. So we were able to buy this thing, if we wanted to, for $850,000, which seemed like a really good deal, even though it did need a lot of work. So we wanted to go down there and check it out because all we saw was pictures, and that's a pretty big purchase to buy without actually seeing it. So we gathered our team. We had about 8 or 9 of us that we wanted to go check it out, and we were looking at our options. Should we all drive down there? These are all high-level employees that we have, that we pay, that me and the other owner, Lucas, were all going to go down together. So we thought, should we go down there, drive down there, check it out, spend the night there, pay for everybody to be in a hotel room, wake up the next day, check it out, and drive back and basically miss 2 days of work for 8 or 9 of our employees? Or we could take a private jet down there and we could fly down there, leave at 7, be back at 5, and do everything we needed to do. I'm guessing you know what we did, judging by the pictures that are flashing across your screen. We ended up taking a private jet down there, but we did it because A, it is a fun thing to do, B, it was a cool write-off expense, and C, it did save, we told ourselves, or convinced ourselves that it saved us money rather than having all of these employees be gone for 2 days and them not being with their families for a night. They get to go home with their families, which is important to us, and we save an extra day of work. So we ended up paying for the jet down there. It's a 4-hour drive-ish or a 25-minute plane ride with no wait, no TSA. You walk in, you go, you walk out, and you're done. So that's what we ended up doing, and it cost us right around $13,000, which is a lot of money, I guess, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it was close to break even. So we flew down there, met some contractors, met some property management companies, checked everything out, toured it, and we ended up, of course, buying it for $850,000. On the way home, on the drive to the airport, and then the 30-minute plane ride home, we ended up coming up with like a paper napkin budget of about $400,000 worth of work. Spoiler alert, that wasn't close. Regardless, we closed on the property and it appraised as is for $1.9 million. And it appraised repaired, fixed up for $2.9 million. So man, we thought that we were living high on the hog. Oh my gosh, we have $1 million equity or close to it already just by buying a good deal on this thing. We're gonna have so much more equity. We thought the cash flow at 50 to 60% occupancy will be 30 to 40 grand a month net. Like this thing is going to print, our net worth's gonna go up. We even talked about buying the neighbor's motel that had like a 24-unit motel right next to it because we were so good, and we were so good at buying boutique motels and turning them into Airbnbs. If you can't sense the sarcasm, it was there because we are not good at that. After we got bids and looked at everything, it was going to cost us about $750,000 $100,000 to repair the property. Then once we started digging in, there was the entire electrical system that needed to be replaced behind the walls that we couldn't see. The water filtration system from the well on the property was completely bypassed by the previous owners, and they were serving water in the sinks, in the showers, and potentially drinking fountains, very hazardous water. So we had to do like a $50,000, $60,000 filtration system, rehook the pipes back up to get things going. Those general things added up. The parking lot ended up needing to be completely taken out and then paid back on top. So there was just these massive expenses we didn't expect, and we ended up being all into this thing on repairs for about $1.1 million. So our $400,000 budget turned into a $750,000 budget, turned into a $1.1 million budget. We're not even getting into the worst parts yet. Let's talk about how we financed it and how we screwed up there. This was at a time where interest rates were very, very high. The Fed's funds rate was at its highest point at this time when we got this thing financed at some point in 2023. And our 25-year mortgage that we got from a small local bank that financed the actual majority of the purchase was 8.75% interest rate. That's a lot on a lot of money. Typically, we could get probably 6.5 right now, but at the time, we got 8.75. On top of that, we got money for the down payment and some of the repairs from 4 different private lenders. We raised about $110,000 from each, so we got $440,000 from private lenders. The bank said, we'll take your $440 and we will finance the rest of the purchase and the rest of the rehab. It was a small local bank we had worked with. So because of that relationship, we got really good terms as far as that goes. But the private lender terms could not have been worse. We ended up giving these private lenders, and you can laugh at me if you want, it is what it is, 7% return on their money. So we're paying them 7% while we're taking a year to repair the property and not making any income. By the way, this is a huge lesson learned here, that if you have a big value add project and you're borrowing money, maybe structure it to where you're not paying the private lenders while you're not collecting income, or raise extra money from them to use to pay them back. Regardless, we did not have that. And then we went over budget and the bank needed more collateral. So we ended up raising another $40,000 from each private lender to cover the additional costs that the banks were going to give us. So we got about $150,000 total from each of those private lenders. So we gave them 7% return on their money. But the worst thing we could have ever done is what we did, is we gave them an 8% kicker on the back end, meaning once we sell or refinance, they get an additional 8%. So we offered 15% to private lenders on a property that was 3 times more than the original budget, a little less than 2 times the actual written budget, and we weren't collecting income. All right. That was a mess. We got it up to snuff. It looks really beautiful. It's a great property. We did a great job rehabbing. It took way too long. We spent way too much money. But now we're going to be able to start to get this thing occupied. I think we budgeted 50% occupancy, as I mentioned, throughout the 12 months, knowing that in January, February, March down there, it's dead. Like nothing happens. You're going to get 0 rentals. So we knew that. We still budgeted at 50% because in the spring, there's fishing tournaments and people start to go to Branson. And in the summer, it's a hotbed. We expected 95, 100% occupancy through most of the summer. In the fall, it slows down a little bit. But then in the winter, Branson is known for a ton of Christmas-themed lights and Christmas decorations. And a lot of people go there around Christmas time. So we expected occupancy to go up. So all in all, we expected about 50% occupancy, even with our financial numbers being inflated and us screwing up with how much we actually rehabbed, how much we paid, all of that, we still could have made money at 50% occupancy. Unfortunately, the property management company that we hired got us about 20% occupancy throughout the year. Like obviously there was more in the spring and summer, but it averaged out to about 20% occupancy, which is just horrible for that area down there, considering how many people go there. Now it comes to find out we weren't listed on Airbnb, and there's a lot of issues going on. As you can see, bad deals tend to compile, and you can see how we're losing 20 grand a month on this thing, or lose a little bit more in the winter, but the spring, summer make up for it a little bit, and fall break even-ish. But it's about 250 grand a year that we're losing on this thing cash flow wise. And at 20% occupancy, that's the biggest reason is any because of that. That's the situation we're in. And the worst part is, well, not the worst part, additional worst part is we can't even refinance out of some of this capital because this is a commercial property. And commercial properties are valued at the cap rate. And the cap rate is based on net income. And if our net income is low, because we're only getting 20% occupancy, it's not worth very much. If we were up to 50, 60% occupancy, it'd be worth more, and we could refinance and take advantage of way lower rates. But we're not there yet. So the last year and a half, 2 years has been horrible. We have a new plan going forward. What we've done is we've hired a new property management company to manage the property for us, hoping that they will do better. They can't really do much worse. But we also hired a consultant to help us maximize bookings by doing creative things with Airbnb and SEO and all these other channels to hopefully increase that occupancy, because it's still in a good spot. Branson's still a great place to own Airbnbs, but we haven't been able to put all the pieces together, let alone the other 4 companies we have that we're running that we're trying to, tread water and stay above the black on. So in general, a really, really bad deal. Some of the reasons we bought it were everything we'd done up to this point worked out well. I don't think we were cocky. Somebody might say different. I don't think we were. I just think we were confident because every deal we had bought had worked out up to this point. We had owned probably $40 million in real estate at this point, and all the deals cash flowed. We were flipping, we were wholesaling, we were getting student signs up. All our businesses were humming, and it seemed like everything we did would work out. Well, that was when we had the tailwinds of the market. Now we have nothing but headwinds, and it was just the horrible timing to go in on a project like this, plus a couple other multifamily deals that weren't very good buys either. So I guess the point of this video is, if you're pushing yourself, you're going to fail and screw up. What you need to do is not give up, but you also need to set yourself up to fail by having multiple streams of income, understanding your cash flow position, by having reserves, and by not pushing yourself too hard, too far, too fast, which is definitely what we did. Luckily, I have income from other businesses that are help covering and offset the losses of this and a few other properties we bought. So our game plan going forward is to maximize this. Hopefully that will allow us to refinance and get that 875 down to the 7s. That will help a ton. We're going to sell some apartments, sell some single families, pay off these private lenders, get out of that bad debt, and only have the bank note at a lower rate on this. If that happens and we increase occupancy, I think we can sell this thing for close to break even after the private lenders are paid off, which, as you know, is 500 grand or more, depending on exactly what we do. We might try to negotiate that down a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But regardless, the point is, this is a mess of a deal. It's affected us financially. It's affected all of our other business because it takes time and energy from those businesses to try to get this thing right. So it's fun to shoot for the stars, but just understand that not everything's going to work out, and this is a perfect example of that. So hopefully you learned a little bit, if not just entertained by the story and all the pictures and videos going up of us hopping on jets and checking this thing out and seeing the progress of it. But regardless, it was not the best experience, and it's not close to over yet, but we're going to keep pushing through and we're going to figure it out. If you want to understand the real side of being an entrepreneur, of a small business, and a real estate investor, this is definitely a channel you're going to want to subscribe to. You're going to want to comment on, hit that like button so you see more of this, and any question or comment you have below, I will personally answer. And I'd also love to see you inside my free online Skool community. It's called Relaunch. There's 10,000 people in it. It's absolutely free. It comes with resources and trainings, and comes with private lender scripts. It comes with funding connections. It comes with hundreds of videos to help teach you. I post in there. I go live once a week and do a lesson on a certain topic of real estate investing based on my screw ups like this. You're not going to find anything more valuable by any means that's free or probably paid. Check out the description below for that Skool link and go join it, and hopefully I can see you on the inside and help you some more, and I will see you on the next video. Save this one. See you there.